You are going to die. Relax, so am I, so is everyone watching this. That part is not up for debate, and it is genuinely not the interesting bit. Here is the interesting bit. You are going to die, yes. But before that happens, you are going to live for a few decades. And the real question, the one nobody actually sits you down and asks, is not how long you live. It is how much of that time you spend suffering. Because that number is not fixed. That number is the one you are quietly deciding right now, today, with stuff you do not even notice you are doing. Picture the last, say, 20 years of your life. For some people, those 20 years look like hiking with their grandkids and carrying their own bags through an airport and getting up off the floor like it is nothing. For other people, those same 20 years look like a walker, a pill organizer the size of a tackle box, and needing help to stand up from the toilet. Same lifespan, wildly different amount of suffering crammed into it. We have a word for the good version. It is called healthspan. Dying at 80 having been strong and sharp until 79, instead of dying at 80 after 15 years of slowly falling apart. Now here is the part that should genuinely scare you and then weirdly comfort you. Most of that suffering is not bad luck. It is not random. It is built, slowly, by doing nothing. By the specific, silent cost of not using parts of your body until your body, being a ruthlessly efficient little machine, quietly deletes them. So that is what this video is. Not a diet, not a workout plan you will abandon by February. Lifespan is how long you live. Healthspan is how long you stay capable. And the entire game, the only game really, is closing the gap between the two. This is a tour of your own body, organ by organ, where I show you exactly what doing nothing costs you, how fast each part decays, and the exact moment you lose the ability to do a thing. And then the fix, and a lot of these fixes are weird and small and almost nobody knows them, all backed by actual research, not some guy yelling on a podcast. And at the very end, I am going to give you the numbers. The actual grams of protein, the vitamins, the simple formulas, the whole thing. And then I am going to show you how to automate all of it so your brain does not explode. You do not need a pen. You do not need to do anything right now except keep watching. Because every system we are about to go through is, at this exact moment, either being maintained or being deleted. There is no pause button. There is no neutral. Let us go find out what you're losing. One idea first, because it explains every single thing that follows. Your body is not trying to be strong. Let me repeat that, because it is the most misunderstood thing about being a human. Your body is not trying to be strong, or fit, or healthy. Your body is trying to survive on as little energy as possible, because for almost all of human history food was scarce, and starving was the main way to die. So your body treats everything you own as expensive equipment, and it follows one brutal rule. If you use it, it keeps it. If you do not use it, it slowly and quietly gets rid of it. Scientists call this use it or lose it. This is why doing nothing is not neutral. Doing nothing is an instruction. The instruction is delete this, we are not using it. And the cruelest part is that the deletion is silent. You do not feel your bones thinning. You do not feel your aerobic engine shrinking. You feel completely fine, right up until the day you reach for something and it is not there anymore. Which means the whole thing is a race between two signals you are sending. The keep this signal, which is movement and load and good food, and the delete this signal, which is the couch, and whichever one you send more often wins. Okay, let us open up the body and look at the bill. Starting with the system that decides, more than any other, whether you spend your old age free or trapped. Here is the cost of doing nothing with your muscles. Starting at age 30, if you do nothing, you lose somewhere between 3 and 8% of your muscle every single decade, and it speeds up after 60. That is not a typo, and it is not fear-mongering. That is the consensus number from the Cleveland Clinic to the NIH, and 3 to 8% per decade sounds slow and ignorable, which is exactly the trap. First, it is nothing. You are in your 30s, you feel fine. Then in your 40s, you notice you kind of push off your knees to stand up now. No big deal. Then jars get harder. Then one day in your 60s or 70s, you are on the floor, you went down to pick something up or you had a little stumble, and you realize with a quiet horror that you cannot get back up. Not easily. not without a chair and a wall and a plan. That is the moment. That is what the 3 to 8% was building toward the whole time. The loss of muscle has a name, sarcopenia, which is just Greek for flesh loss, and it is one of the main reasons old people become frail, fall, break a hip, and lose their independence for good. Your grip strength is one of the strongest predictors of how long you will live, because it is a window into your whole body's strength and your nervous system's health. So that is the cost of doing nothing. Slow, silent, and then suddenly you cannot stand up. Here is the fix, and here is the part most people get wrong. The niche move is to train the specific ability you are going to lose first, which is standing up. So you do loaded sit-to-stands. Literally practice standing up from a chair, then make it harder by holding weight, or lowering slowly, or using a lower chair. You are rehearsing the exact movement that keeps you out of the nursing home. And do not only do light, easy, high-rep stuff. To build fall-preventing strength, you need to occasionally lift something genuinely heavy, about 5 hard reps max. Test yourself with the 30-second chair stand test and look up the average for your age and sex. If muscle is the silent decline, bone is the completely silent one. After age 40, you lose roughly 1% of bone density every year, jumping to 2 or 3% through menopause, with zero warning until your hip breaks. Here is the fix for bone, and this one is genuinely surprising. You do not need a gym, you need to jump. A 16-week trial found women who did 10 to 20 jumps twice a day measurably increased hip bone density. Another study, 50 jumps a day raised femoral bone density by almost 3% in 5 months. 10 to 20 jumps twice a day. That is maybe 40 seconds of effort. Why jumping and not walking? Bone responds to impact, not gentle, steady use. Walking and swimming do almost nothing for your bones because there is no jolt. If your joints are bad, do heel drops instead. Jumps for the hips, lifting for the spine, and calcium and vitamin D handled in the numbers section. Now the engine. Your heart, lungs, and blood vessels deliver oxygen, and we measure the whole system with one number called VO2 max, basically the size of your engine. Big engine, you climb stairs and run for a train without dying. Small engine, you get winded putting on your socks. Here is the cost of doing nothing. Your VO2 max drops by about 10% every decade if you are sedentary. From age 20 to 70, that is roughly 46%, almost half your engine gone. There is a level of VO2 max, below which you physically cannot climb a flight of stairs or live independently. If you do nothing, your engine shrinks until it crosses below that line. First you avoid the stairs, then you avoid the hill, then you avoid leaving the house. Your VO2 max is one of the single strongest predictors of how long you will live. A slowly shrinking engine until your own staircase becomes a wall. Here is the fix. Most people jog in the junk zone, too hard to relax and too easy to get fitter. The research-backed approach is two-speed. Most of your cardio should be genuinely easy, so easy you can hold a full conversation. This is zone 2, just walking briskly where you could talk the whole time. And then once a week, do the Norwegian 4x4. Hard for 4 minutes, easy for 3 minutes, repeat 4 times. That one session a week is one of the most powerful ways to raise your VO2 max. People who keep training lose only about 5% per decade, half the rate of doing nothing. You probably think your brain will do its own thing regardless. It will not. Your brain is meat, and meat follows the same delete what you don't use rule. There is a part of your brain called the hippocampus, your memory center. After a certain age, if you do nothing, the hippocampus shrinks by 1 to 2% every year. That shrinkage is directly linked to memory loss and rising dementia risk. People treat losing your memory as fixed tragic fate. The research says otherwise. Here is the fix. A landmark trial had older adults do brisk walking, about 40 minutes, 3 times a week for a year. The control group who just stretched kept shrinking, lost about 1.5% of their hippocampus like clockwork. But the walking group, their hippocampus grew by about 2%. They reversed the decline, making their memory center 1 to 2 years younger. Exercise raises BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, fertilizer for your brain cells. Walking is one of the best dementia prevention tools we have, and it is free. Now the silent one that ends in an actual disease. Your metabolism turns food into energy and decides what to do with it. When you eat carbs, they turn into sugar in your blood, and insulin acts as the key that lets sugar into your cells. The single biggest place your body dumps that sugar is your muscle. If you are doing nothing, you are losing muscle, your biggest sugar storage tank. And you are sitting all day, so the muscle you have is not asking for sugar either. So the sugar sits in your blood until your cells stop listening. That is insulin resistance, and it slides silently into type 2 diabetes with nerve damage, vision loss, kidney failure, and higher heart risk. The early warning you feel is the afternoon slump, the fog, the sugar cravings, the belly that keeps growing. Here is the fix. There is a muscle in your calf called the soleus. It can sip sugar out of your blood for hours without getting tired. Walk for just 2 to 5 minutes after a meal, not a workout. A stroll. Even that much light walking significantly flattens the blood sugar spike that causes the crash. If you cannot walk, do seated calf raises at your desk, bouncing your heels up and down. You are switching on the soleus while watching a screen. And break up your sitting every 30 minutes. Prolonged sitting damages your metabolism independently of whether you exercise. Movement snacks all day. That post-meal walk is the most absurdly efficient metabolism fix in the whole video. 2 to 5 minutes, that is it. This one is about range of motion, how far your joints can actually move. Here is the cost of sitting in a chair for 40 years. Your body adapts to the shapes you spend time in. Fold it into a chair all day, and it quietly lets go of all the range you are not using. Your hips stop opening, your ankles stiffen, your spine forgets how to move, until you cannot get down onto the floor and back up without a whole production. The sitting rising test, lowering yourself to the floor and standing back up without using hands or knees, predicts how long people live. It is a brilliant mirror of capability already lost. Here is the fix. Passive stretching does surprisingly little. Spend time in the end ranges you are losing. Sit on the floor instead of the couch. Rest at the bottom of a deep squat. Practice the sitting rising test itself. Now inward to your digestion. Inside your gut live trillions of bacteria, your microbiome, basically an extra organ that trains your immune system and eats fiber you cannot digest. The average person eats almost no fiber and almost no variety, because we engineered both out of our food in favor of soft, processed, beige stuff. So the garden starves. Helpful species die off, unhelpful ones take over, and your gut lining gets leakier. This feeds chronic low-grade inflammation, inflammaging linked to nearly every age-related disease. Here is the fix. The American Gut Project found the healthiest microbiomes belong to people eating the widest variety of plants, not just the most fiber. Here is the fix. The American Gut Project found the healthiest microbiomes belong to people eating the widest variety of plants, not just the most fiber. The number to aim for is 30 different plant types a week. Everything counts. Vegetables, fruits, beans, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. Oregano on your pasta counts. A handful of mixed nuts is like 5 plants at once. Add 1 fermented food a day if it agrees with you: yogurt, kefir, kimchi, or sauerkraut. The last system is fuel and raw materials. Too little protein and muscle loss speeds up. Low vitamin D and bones weaken. Low iron and you are exhausted because your blood cannot carry enough oxygen. None of these hurt today. All of them compound over years. So here are the actual numbers, and I will show you how to automate them at the end. Protein is the rebuild material, the one almost everyone undereats. The target is about 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. If you weigh 70 kilograms, that is about 112 grams of protein a day. Your weight in pounds times about 0.7 gets you close. Older adults want a touch more, not less. And it is not just your daily total, it is how you spread it. Your body needs roughly 0.4 grams of protein per kilogram per meal to flip the muscle-building switch. For a 70-kilo person, that is about 28 grams of protein per meal. Protein at every meal. That is the secret. Fat about 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram from olive oil, nuts, avocado, and oily fish. Carbs fill the rest from whole high-fiber sources. Fiber, about 14 grams per 1,000 calories you eat, roughly 25 grams a day for women and 38 for men. For micronutrients from the NIH, calcium 1,000 milligrams a day, rising to 1,200 for women over 50 and everyone over 70. If you weigh 70 kilograms, that is about 112 grams of protein a day at 1.6 grams per kilogram. Your weight in pounds times about 0.7 gets you close. Spread about 28 grams per meal. Protein at every meal. That is the secret. Iron, 8 milligrams for men, 18 for menstruating women. Magnesium 400 to 420 for men, 310 to 320 for women. Potassium 3,400 for men, 2,600 for women. Sodium under 2,300 milligrams, ideally nearer 1,500. Vitamin A 900 micrograms for men, 700 for women. Vitamin C 90 for men, 75 for women. Vitamin D3, 600 international units a day, rising to 800 over age 70. The one most people are deficient in. Vitamin E 15 milligrams. B12 about 2.4 micrograms. Folate B9 about 400 micrograms. Food first, variety always. Only supplement what a blood test says you are low on, usually vitamin D, sometimes iron or B12. Your entire nutrition target in one breath. Protein, weight in kilos times 1.6 split across meals. Fat, kilos times 0.9. Carbs fill the rest. Fiber 25 to 38 grams. Micros from 30 plants a week plus protein sources. Now step back. 8 systems. 8 ways your body falls apart if you do nothing. And now look at the fixes. Really look. Lifting fixed your muscle and bones. Jumping fixed your hips. Cardio fixed your heart and regrew your brain. Walking after meals fixed your metabolism. Getting on the floor fixed your mobility. Diverse plants fixed your gut and delivered your vitamins. Protein fed everything. It is almost the same short list every time. Move your body in a few specific ways. Eat enough protein and a wide variety of plants. That is not 8 routines. That is one lifestyle that protects everything at once because it was never 8 separate systems. It is one connected body that ages as one and heals as one. You need about 5 habits over and over for a long time. The earlier you start, the more decades of compounding you get. A small thing repeated daily becomes massive over years. Nobody older than you can buy back the time you have right now. That is your edge. Spend it. Okay, deep breath. I just threw a tour of your entire body plus numbers at your face. If that felt overwhelming, good. Willpower and memory are terrible strategies. You will not wake up and recalculate your protein and count your 30 plants. Nobody does. Healthy people have better systems, not more discipline. Do not rely on remembering. Build it in. 10 jumps while the kettle boils twice a day. Protein at every meal. Walk after dinner. Cardio on fixed weekly slots. Sit on the floor while you watch shows. Keep many different plants in the kitchen and junk out of the house. One blood test, fix what it flags, stop guessing. I built you a free workbook attached below with your checklist, doctor tests, build-a-plate guide, and all the numbers. Print it. Stick it on the fridge. Let the fridge remember it so you do not have to. Automate the boring stuff so you can actually live. You are going to die. You do not get a say in that. But how strong you are, how sharp you are, how much of your one life you spend capable instead of suffering, that is being decided right now. Your body is listening. Send it the right signal. Go do 10 jumps. Yes, now, I will know if you don't. Everything in this video is general education, not personal medical advice. I do not know you, your history, or your body. Talk to a doctor or registered dietitian before you act on this, especially exercises, supplements, and blood tests. If you are pregnant, under 18, very inactive and about to start jumping or lifting, or have any chronic condition like kidney disease, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, or osteoporosis. Or if you take medication that food or exercise could interact with, or have any history of disordered eating, in which case skip the gram counting and work with a professional. Blood tests and target ranges are for a doctor who sees your whole picture, not for self-diagnosis from a video. And here is the comforting part. Almost everything that matters most is also the safest and simplest. Move your body in a few ways, eat protein and different plants. Don't sit all day. Sleep. You could ignore every number, do only that, and still end up healthier than almost everyone around you. The numbers are for when you want to optimize. Take care of the machine. It is the only one you get, and the warranty is strictly non-transferable.